Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Tax Thursday brought to you by Smart Counsel. I'm your host, DDQ, here with Smart Counsel's tax resident attorney, Dionne Kellier. Happy Tax Thursday, Dionne.
Happy Tax Thursday, Dee.
I'm glad you made it through the storm. Everything's good down in Florida, at least for now.
Yes, thank God, where I'm from, yes.
Yes, definitely. And thank you all for joining into another episode of ours. If you haven't already, make your way over to the Smart Counsel website at www.smart-counsel.com to learn more about this minority and women-owned firm. There you will learn more about the attorneys and their practice areas. In today's new episode, we will be discussing the Bank of America's no down payment mortgage. So Dionne, first question is, what exactly is this Bank of America no down payment mortgage?
Okay, so in an effort to address stubbornly persistent racial wealth gap, one of the nation's largest banks, which is Bank of America, has launched a mortgage program aimed at first-time home buyers in Black and Latino neighborhoods. The program's loose qualifying standards remove some of the major barriers to home ownership, but they also create a risk of default of borrowers with little to no safety net. Bank of America's new community affordable loan solution requires no down payment, no closing costs, no minimum credit score, and no mortgage insurance. And it's limited to first-time home buyers in African American or Black or Hispanic or Latino neighborhoods in Charlotte, North Carolina, Dallas, Texas, Detroit, Michigan, Los Angeles, California, and Miami, Florida.
Interesting.
And a key distinction is, in addition to the first-time home buyer requirement, the bank will determine eligibility for the program by the borrower's location and income, not by the race, right? So before let's see, let me get into the words. Let's do the official words and then we'll hit with my opinions after.
Perfect.
So, Bank of America is launching a mortgage with no down payment or closing costs that aims to promote home ownership in minority communities in 5 U.S. cities, which I named. And they said they will not take a borrower's credit score into account when applying for the home loan. Instead, their credit worthiness will be based on such factors as timely payments of rent, as well as phone, auto insurance, and utility bills. And one generous feature of the bank's program, borrowers are not subject to mortgage insurance premiums, and most low down payment conventional loans, as well as the 3.5% down FHA loan, carries mortgage insurance. But what is mortgage insurance used for? I don't know. Pretty sure it's important. Not even I don't know. I do know, but okay.
Right.
Bank of America's program aims to address the ongoing challenge for the U.S. housing market. Black and Hispanic Americans struggle to attain home ownership, while nearly 3/4 of white Americans own their homes as of the second quarter of 2022. Less than half of Black and Hispanic Americans were homeowners, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. There are many reasons for the racial home ownership gap, including lower incomes and less household wealth among Black and Hispanic Americans, along with the real estate's history of discriminatory lending practices. It's because I have so much to say, right?
Yeah,
I'm just
sorry.
gonna get the words out before I get into that. Mortgage lenders long ago abandoned such overtly biased practices as redlining, but the economic wounds have been slow to heal. A growing body of research suggests that homes owned by African Americans today are undervalued by appraisers, and in one recent survey, close to half of Black and Hispanic home buyers reported missing out on homes in certain neighborhoods due to discrimination. Bank of America's program is attractive for borrowers who qualify. However, it also comes with something of a red flag. Compared to borrowers who clear stringent qualifying hurdles, borrowers who buy a home with no down payment, no closing costs, and no minimum credit score face a much higher risk of default or foreclosure. To soften the risk, the bank is requiring borrowers in the program to complete a home buyer certification course. And even so, these new home buyers will buy at what might be at the top of the housing market and with no equity to cushion them against a decline in prices. As well-intentioned as the program may be, introducing a no down payment program for first home buyers after a major run-up in home prices could be setting up some home buyers for failure if prices pull back or even level out for a period of time, says somebody from Bank Rates chief financial analyst. Without meaningful home price appreciation, the loan balance doesn't decline fast enough to build a sufficient equity cushion if the homeowner needs to sell within a few years. The bank homeowner course requirement is an important safeguard, however, and while it won't impose a minimum credit score to qualify, the bank will also check a borrower's credit and payment histories, such as for car insurance, rent, and utilities. It's not a no credit program. You have to have 3 trade lines for at least 12 months, which is credit history. A homebuyer's education course would be, it's either going to be online or in person, so you can find out what's involved in purchasing a home. It explains the home buying process, and it will talk about concepts like debt ratios, upfront costs, home features to consider, the professionals involved, maintenance, fair housing rules, foreclosure prevention. Bank of America says that this is a special purpose credit program, and it uses credit guidelines based on factors such as timely rent, utility bills, phone and auto insurance payment. It requires no mortgage insurance or minimum credit score, and it's based on income and home location. And they also have to complete the home buyers course. And this program is in addition to and complements Bank of America's existing $15 billion community home ownership commitment to offer affordable mortgages, industry-leading grants, and educational opportunities to help 60,000 individuals and families purchase affordable homes by 2025. And through this commitment, Bank of America has already helped more than 36,000 people and families become homeowners, providing more than $9.5 billion in low down payment loans and over $350 million in non-repayable down payment and or closing cost grants. To date, 2/3 of the loans and grants made through the community homeownership commitment has helped multicultural clients to achieve homeownership. Bank of America also has a 26-year relationship with NACA, and through which the bank has committed to providing an additional $15 billion in mortgages to low to moderate income home buyers through May 2027. And according to the National Association of Realtors, today there is a nearly 30% gap in homeownership between white and Black Americans. For Hispanic buyers, the gap is nearly 20%, and the competitive housing market has made it even more difficult for potential home buyers, especially people of color, to buy homes. Home ownership strengthens our communities and can help individuals and families to build wealth over time. And that is what Bank of America says. So now let's talk about it.
Yeah, definitely. I have so many questions. I mean, I'll let you tell us what you think, as in like your interpretation of all of that, and then we'll just kind of go from there.
Perfect. So first thing is that most people think that this, when they first heard it, they were like, oh, this is to help out, Hispanic and Latino people, right? So that's not how it's really working. It is going to be in a neighborhood that is predominantly considered Black or Hispanic. What comes to mind? Gentrification, right? Because you can be of any race and you can buy within these neighborhoods, which is then going to change the value of the homes in these neighborhoods. Okay, so that's one point. Second point is that right now we are at the top of the housing market. Housing prices are severely inflated. And so if you now get a home that they're selling it for $500,000, then it's going to even out, like how we had the foreclosure crisis in like 2009, 8 through like 11. The prices are going to even out. So if you paid $500,000, so you have a $500,000 mortgage, but then all of the houses in your neighborhood, when the prices even out, are selling for $350,000 or $400,000, you're underwater. And now you didn't even put down any cost, anything to, so nothing is necessarily recoverable unless you sell, and you're going to sell at a loss. And if you go into foreclosure, then if you do get foreclosed upon, that amount is going to be considered income to you. And like my final thought is, mortgage insurance premiums are there for a reason. And the fact that these houses that are overly inflated are not, you're getting the benefit of not having a mortgage insurance premium. Well, like, you need that, right? And so so my personal opinion is I don't like the program. I do think that I understand, as well-intentioned as some of these things are, if I feel like the solution could have been that you provide African American or Black and Hispanic or Latino individuals with the same opportunity that you provide others with, as opposed to just, having these discriminatory practices that would keep them out of, number one, switching neighborhoods, right? Because like that's one thing, is to keep you within a neighborhood that is considered Hispanic or Black. So so is the property values lower or higher? And then what about the school system? And what if I don't want to live in one of these neighborhoods? And just like the fact that other people who were already able to get mortgages can also take advantage of this program. I just see so many things wrong with it. And nothing is free. Something for nothing means there's a price on the back end.
Right. That's what I was kind of like, after doing my research, I'm like, okay, where's the catch here? Like they're trying to make it like a super sweet deal, and just reading it, taking it for face value, you see it as like, okay, this is a really good deal. But like you said, so anyone can really take advantage of this. It's not really based on race. It's based on the neighborhood that they are doing this for.
Exactly. The neighborhood you're seeking to live in.
And so how do they really determine these neighborhoods in these cities? Is this just like polls of like how many, people of color live there?
So it is based off of like your census tract, right? And so like Miami, for instance, I already know the neighborhoods that they're going to say. It's going to be like Overtown, right? It's going to be like Little Haiti, but like Overtown, for instance, this is like a historically Black neighborhood, which now is Wynwood. Like now there's pieces of it that's Wynwood. Can people that live in Overtown afford to live in Wynwood? No, they cannot. And Wynwood like is literally like, if you take two lefts, you're going to be in Overtown from Wynwood, because Wynwood is what Overtown was. So I say that to say any of the people that have historically resided in that neighborhood cannot afford to live in Wynwood. But in Wynwood, because there's no new census that's done yet, right? Wynwood right now is probably going to be considered one of these type of neighborhoods. And then somebody could go in, anybody, and take advantage of this. So somebody who is not historically discriminated against could have like money that they can afford to now take advantage of a zero down mortgage and, no insurance premium. They're going to be buying at the height of the market. But how long is this going to last? Because is it going to last until housing prices level out? Or is it going to last for 5 years? And whatever happens to the prices, happens to the prices. And so, like, I am very concerned with people jumping at these things, because it's not like you don't have all the information. And one thing that we know with the foreclosure crisis that happened in, the 2008, 2009 is there were all these people just getting these mortgages, right? It's the same, to me, it's exactly the same concept. Like you couldn't afford something and they're giving it to you.
And nothing is for free, like you said.
Nothing is for free. And I just wish that the fix to historical discrimination is not giving you things for free and setting you up for failure. Because when you don't have any, like, if you have never paid a mortgage, or like if you've never paid a mortgage, you should not get $1 million house. Right.
Right.
That's like, right. Like if you've never, pay a mortgage first, then work your way up to $1 million house. And I wish that it would be more so my hope that like the discriminatory practices that even led to this program being created were eliminated, as opposed to creating this program which would still allow the discriminatory practices to keep going forward.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking too. Just like, okay, well, I feel like this goes a little bit deeper, like why don't we have as much as an opportunity as our counterparts to own a house? I'm in the middle of that right now. I'm house hunting, and it is the most stressful thing ever. Mm-hmm. It's so hard, especially with the big influx of people that have come to Denver, and things that, neighborhoods that were bad. And don't have good schools or anything, now have houses that are so expensive. And I'm just like, I would have never lived here growing up. And now that I'm looking here, it's impossible to get a house.
Right.
And I just feel like it's because, like, again, like you said, our income, job opportunities, knowledge on how to manage these kind of situations is just not provided to a lot of us to make these sound decisions, if that makes sense.
No, you're absolutely right. Like it's actually like even reading about, not even reading because I know this, but like seeing different people's experiences of, the housing values for African Americans and, Hispanics being undervalued, right? So like you're doing the appraisal, and if you have pictures of Black people or Hispanic people in there, then they're gonna lower your appraisal is like 20-30% lower. Like, why is this? The problem is why is that happening?
Right.
Not the fact nobody needs nobody necessarily. I'm trying to couch this in the right way, right? I want to say nobody needs a handout, right?
Yeah. Right.
And it seems like that is the fix to everything, is to give a handout, but as opposed to fixing the system that created this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like it is so frustrating for me and to me that like it's like there's always gonna be a way for people of color to feel less than, because they do not get the same opportunities that non-people of color get. And then when they do get the opportunity to be in that situation, it can't necessarily, it may not always be hard work, right? It may not even be perceived as hard work, and you have to explain why you're there, as opposed to I'm here because I deserve to be here.
Right.
That makes me
I
insane.
saw that a lot in like job opportunities, right? Like, oh, we need, especially when like the whole social justice came out, like we need to have, people of color on our board or people of color on our team. And it's like, are you hiring them because that you need that person of color to kind of, make your business look nice, or are you hiring them because they have the qualifications and the knowledge and the education and blah 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 to meet that?
That social justice thing made me crazy because
Yeah.
first of all, we see how the wave came and went, right?
Yep.
And
Mm-hmm.
they didn't have to nobody necessarily stuck with it, right?
Yep.
And they were just doing it because it looked good at the time, but were their hearts really in it? Like, places where I've been the only person of color, it's not lost on me that that's the situation. And, for whatever your reason is, like, don't ever let me know that's because I'm gone. Like, right? I'm not anybody's, I am not your puppet, right? Like, so, and that's how I personally feel about the situation. I feel it's super offensive to people of color because, not only do we have to work that much harder, then you work that much harder, then for people to perceive you as you got this position because of some, I want to feel good. I want to be able to sleep at night. So instead of having 100% of my workforce be non-people of color, I'll have my one token right here. Like, you better make me think that I got the job because I qualified for it. If I think anything has to do with because of I'm a woman or I'm a person of color, like, I'm gone. Like, but that's me. Some people are different. I just have my pride factor is too big for that, because I know that when it feels a lot better to work for something than to be given something. And there are a lot of people though that don't feel that way and would be very happy, and I have no disrespect towards them, but like, nothing is free.
Right.
And paying up, for instance, paying a mortgage insurance premium, I want to say that it's MIP, and like that's the initials for the acronym, whatever, and it's to ensure that, like, if anything happened to your mortgage, it's covered. Right there, like the bank or lender servicer is covered, and it's to cover everybody, right? Because then the next thing that I know is not going to be included in your mortgage payment is your escrowing, right? So your taxes and insurance is probably not going to be included in your mortgage payment, and so they're not going to force it, which they should, and then your house could get taken away by not paying taxes, right? So there's so many opportunities for this, one of the most major investments in your life, for it to be pulled from under you. And like, the value of houses, the value of your house is only good as the value of the house that just sold, right? So if the house next to you sold for $500,000, then the value of your house is within $500,000. And if the house next to that after sells for $350,000, then the value of your house is $350,000, right? So like, you always want to have a cushion. And I just feel like, so many people we're at a time where so many people jump at what's shiny and they don't look at,
Mm-hmm.
like, what's down the rabbit hole.
Right, for sure. And is there a certain reason why these certain or these particular neighborhoods were chosen? Is that because they do have such a high I guess, popularity of Hispanic and
So
Black people
I so
or
I think
Africans?
I think that these cities were chosen. I feel like it's a combination of things. There is a high concentration of Black or African American, Hispanic, or Latino people in these, Miami for sure, Los Angeles for sure, Texas. Was it Dallas? I don't know
Yeah,
about Detroit. And what was the other place? I think it was
Charlotte.
wait, yeah, Charlotte. So Charlotte for sure, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know for Miami, since the pandemic, there were people that moved from other places that made more money. So there were like our value of our houses were inflated, right? But like then now when I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but when I really look behind it, if you gentrify these neighborhoods, they will no longer be neighborhoods for people of color. But that's after this program is done.
Right, right. So just pushing them out elsewhere, pushing them outwards to other neighborhoods or homeless. Like, what is that really gonna?
I feel like
What do
it's homeless, right? Because like for Opalaka, for instance, people who have lived there, there's been generations and generations and generations of people who have lived there who can't
you?
afford, because you can't even afford the taxes, right? Because if
Hmm.
the house, maybe if you live like deep in the center, which is like there's other issues with that. But if you live on
Yeah.
the outskirts, say that you live on the street that's across from Wynwood in Overtown, pretty sure your housing prices are going to be, your taxes are going to be based on what's going on in Overtown. It's not like the schools, I mean, what's going on in Wynwood. It's not like the schools are necessarily better for you that live in that neighborhood, because I'm pretty sure that they're going to put all of the tax money into the Wynwood side, not into the Opalaka side, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so it is super, I could never, this is something, if I was a politician, I would probably focus on. It probably would get me votes, but it would probably, my safety would probably be a concern. But don't worry, I'm not into politics. I'm just telling you my opinion. You do what you want to do with it. And,
Hmm.
like, I just think that to me, that's all gentrification right here. All of it. The next place
Right.
I'm waiting to see is going to be Washington, D.C.
That was going to be my next question. Do you see this expanding to other cities in the states?
Well, hopefully, people, I don't want it to,
Yeah.
and hopefully, people can see that it's not everything that glitters isn't gold, and
Right.
maybe the program is not as successful as they would like for it to be, and they cancel it. And I think that what they should do is more internal training to remove your biases against people of color and let them
Hmm.
live wherever they want. Because then why can't they buy a house in a non-Black or Latino neighborhood?
Right. Right. Good point.
This doesn't offer that to them.
Very good. That's a very good point. I think that's the point that's missed in this picture, It's like, why are we, kind of tied down to these specific neighborhoods, per se? And then anyone can really kind of go for it.
Right. But the people that really probably want to escape the situation, change their schools, change all of that. Because I'm going to say that the schools in this neighborhood aren't going to be A schools as of right now. They will
Right.
probably get there, or they may not get there. Or the people that are buying these neighborhoods don't have school age children. So what does it matter to them?
Right. And does it apply to any home really? Like, or is it single family homes? Is it?
I think that it applies to any first time home. So it could probably be a condo, but is there going to be a condo in Overtown? Not
Yeah.
necessarily. A condo building? Not necessarily. Unless it's
Right.
part of the gentrification project that's going on.
Right. So maybe they're just trying to, at least what I'm kind of just thinking, like, just to say, is like this is kind of like a cover for the gentrification, just kind of like this is what's really happening. But we're going to put this nice little Bank of America no down payment mortgage name on it.
Right, because you know what? When it was advertised, it's not
Mhm.
advertised as the Bank of America zero down payment in predominantly African American or Hispanic neighborhoods. It says that it's the no down payment, no closing costs for Hispanic and African American people, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's really to keep you in whatever neighborhood that you're in. So you buy a house in that neighborhood. But
Right.
something, I'm pretty sure it's not going to be like in Buckhead, Atlanta, or Buckhead, Georgia, right? Which is a
Right.
very affluent African American community. And like that kind of stuff makes me, very, I'm weary of the whole program anyways. I would never take advantage of it. And because I did foreclosures, like nothing is free. This is going to blow up in your face. And, unfortunately, then you're going to have a foreclosure. And then you're going to have these tax, ramifications. Because if you go into foreclosure, and I know that if you put a 0 down payment and you do this home buyer certification course and you still go into foreclosure, that amount is going to be considered income. They're not writing any portion of it off. Where they did certain things in 2000, between 2008, 2009, 10, that foreclosure crisis, they did things where if, your house was underwater, they would adjust the principal balance to what the current fair market value is, and they would forgive that amount, and that amount that was forgiven wouldn't be considered income. They did things like that. Definitely not going to happen again, in my opinion. And I would bet the farm on that one. This is, man, the more I even think about it and talk about it, is I feel like this is one of the worst things that you could do. But funny enough, I was having a conversation with one of my good friends on Saturday, and they told me that they were having a conversation with somebody else, wholly unrelated, and they are, especially realtors, are so excited about this. But I don't think that they're thinking about it the way that you and I are thinking about it, right? They're just thinking about oh my gosh, we could qualify so much more people. But what about the schools? What about there's so many things. It's actually, I don't know, man. It's a little bit, I don't like it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I see more red flags than I do green flags. Like you said, just anytime that something is presented to us with a shiny red ribbon on it, I'm almost hesitant to open that. I'm just what's going to be under here? What's going to be the consequences later down the road if I do take this gift or if I take this bait, if that makes sense.
Right. And they talk about nothing about the interest rate. Is it going to be a variable? Is it going to be a balloon? Are they going to offer you a 2% interest rate, for the first 15 years, and then, year 16, you have to pay the whole thing? Or at year 30, because it's usually a 30-year mortgage, you have to pay, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. I don't think that, I feel like people had good intentions, but there's but I also feel like they had good intentions, and I also feel like there were not people of color in the room that made these decisions.
Right. Which is mostly how it happens, right?
Right. Because they're I got it. And yeah. I don't know about that.
Right. No, for sure. That's very interesting. I'm interested to see how far this goes, if other banks will take this on, if it will expand to other cities, how it will affect people down the road if they do, and make this decision to go forward with this no mortgage down payment, or no down payment mortgage. I guess, what would you say would be the biggest takeaways from this topic for today's episode?
So I would say that really consider, if this is something that interests you and you feel like is beneficial to you, to really, the devil is in the details. And so to really look at what it is that you're signing, and to know that it may not be beneficial to take advantage of this and possibly save your money a little more, and so you can move to a different neighborhood if that is what you would like. And just because it's being offered doesn't mean you have to take it. And there will be tax ramifications. There will be. I know there will be. And especially if you do this and you go into foreclosure, it's going to be problematic. And look into what a mortgage insurance premium is, so that, don't listen to what I'm saying. Look it up for yourself. What does mortgage insurance premium cover? If you feel like you could do without it, then make that decision. But I feel like, why are you so special that you don't have it, but then the houses in the non African American or Hispanic communities, they have it? So why? Right. So that's a problem.
For sure. That's a great point right there. Gosh, I'm so interested to see how it all goes, especially with how the economy is going to how everyone's predicting the economy is going to happen or, take place later a few months from now. So, we'll see. I guess we'll kind of maybe touch base once this does fully roll out, once there are people who are, going forward with this and we see the consequences that play out if there are any. This is all our opinion, our prediction.
Speculative.
Right, exactly. Read the details, guys. And I think that's pretty much it for today, unless you have anything else, Dionne.
No, I just, I don't have anything else. And I just, all like the point I want to drive home is that everything that glitters isn't gold. And this country and most countries and nothing is free. So if you're getting something for nothing, there's a price on the back end. And that's what I want you to know.
For sure. Gosh, thank you so much again for everything. Thank you everyone for tuning in to another episode of Tax Thursday. Make sure you're following us on all social media platforms and that you like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel so you do not miss a future Tax Thursday episode. But until then, we will be meeting probably not next week, but the week after. But if you guys do have any suggestions for topics, any questions, maybe just your thoughts, send those over to us via DM on Instagram at Tax Thursdays or just shoot a comment down below. Thanks so much, Dionne.
Perfect. Have a wonderful day.
You too.